So, let me start with a disclaimer. I don't think that Euro Truck Simulator 2 is a bad game. It's brilliant, but I like Snowrunner better. This is my subjective opinion, which is based on my personal experience. You can agree to my points, and it's also okay to disagree. I'm not trying to convince anyone that I'm right about this or that. My goal is simply to share my views, not to waste any more of our precious time. Euro Truck Simulator 2 is a game developed and published by SCS Software, released in 2012 on Windows, later also ported to Linux and Mac. And for convenience sake, I will be calling it ETS2 going forward. Snowrunner is a game developed by Saber Interactive and published by Focus Home Interactive, released in 2020 on Windows, PS4 and Xbox One. Later also ported to Switch, PS5 and Xbox Series. We can start with the obvious similarities between both games. These are vehicle simulation games where you transport cargo, earn money by successfully completing deliveries, use this money to purchase new vehicles and upgrades while also increasing the player level. And that's about it. As similar as the premise might seem, there is nothing much more that these games have directly in common, without generalizing too much. ETS2 is a much more popular game. Even though it's almost 10 years older than Snowrunner, it still has a somewhat growing player base. Most of the time, it sits firmly in the top 50 most played games on Steam, and as of writing, fluctuates between 50 and almost 70,000 concurrent players, around 10 times more than Snowrunner. And this large, dedicated player base is also partly why it's a bit intimidating to be making the title statement of this video. But now, let's dissect what's under the hood of these two great titles. Let's start with the world. ETS2 features a massive, continuous map that represents a scaled-down version of Europe. The map is designed to simulate real-world geography, allowing players to drive from one country to another without interruption. It's important to acknowledge that each region is crafted rather carefully and authentically, so you actually feel like traveling, let's say, through Bratislava, Ljubljana and Berlin. Also, the extra maps purchased with the many DLCs are integrated seamlessly, so that a single, expansive map provides a sense of connected, long-haul trucking world. The map includes a mix of urban areas, highways, rural roads, and industrial sites. Players experience varied driving conditions, but the roads are mainly smooth as butter. Weather conditions like rain are only a mild inconvenience rather than a real obstacle. Here, the map is your friend. It's like a big canvas where you slowly paint newly explored roads and expand your logistics empire. Also, the map of ETS2 can be used as an actual map. The roads are visible as soon as you start playing, and they are actually where you expect them to be. That might seem obvious, but keep that in mind for later. The GPS will show the most optimal legal route to your destination, and you don't have to spend too much time on thinking about how you're gonna get there. You just set out and drive, while enjoying the trip and scenery. Well, not so much in Snowrunner. Snowrunner's maps are divided into multiple regions, each representing a different geographical location, such as Michigan, Alaska, or Amur. Each region is composed of 1 to 4 smaller maps. While each map is self-contained, they are interconnected within a region. Players can transition between maps through specific points, usually a garage or a gateway. Extra map content is also available via DLCs, and each DLC represents a new independent region. In Snowrunner, the map is actively trying to make you fail and suffer. It's your arch nemesis that you have to conquer through sweat and tears. Each map is densely packed with challenging terrain like mud, snow, ice, and water. All the locations are very rural, with limited signs of civilization, like a small town or places of natural resource collection. When you start out on a new map, you don't see much. Actually, you see mostly nothing, just the places of interest on a black background. So the first task is always to scout and explore, to understand what you're working with. What will be the hazards and obstacles ahead? Where are the roads? Are there any roads? Are any of these roads actually usable? Is the road the best way to reach your destination, or is it your highway to hell? Each route has to be carefully planned based on the cargo, your truck of choice, and the level of shenanigans you're willing to pull off. Also, it's not always just about planning a single trip from point A to B, due to the nature of Snowrunner's mission design, and that brings us to the gameplay. In my opinion, the best way to illustrate gameplay is to do a case study. A simple delivery in ETS2 besides a common Snowrunner delivery scenario. So I booted up ETS2 after a longer time and was eager to get going. My last location was Geneva, so I chose a decent job with high enough price per distance and went after my propane tank, which will be delivered to Deutschland. Following the navigation, I drove around 30 kilometers to the pickup location, hooked on the trailer, and after that my route was set to Köln. And well, I just went there. The most eventful things were going through a toll road twice, rerouting a bit due to a closed road, stopping to sleep, and refueling. After that, I enjoyed the early morning scenery and arrived at my destination. I must admit, parking was not my most elegant attempt, but it was good enough to finish the job. And that's it. A simple, elegant loop. Easy to pick up, easy to get going. And now, let's check a day on the job in the magnificent world of Snowrunner. We have a contract to deliver logs to multiple destinations. Seems simple enough. There are markers on the map on the 2 spots where I can pick this cargo type and where I have to deliver it. So, for convenience sake, I choose the Azov 5319. It's left at the site where I finished my last log delivery on this map. So I jump in and go to the log station. Right after picking up the load, I get stuck in the mud, and because this truck has a tank size of my bladder on an intercity bus and a fuel appetite that even my grandma would scold as too big, I run out of gas quite quick. Time for a rescue. I check for a capable hero, and seems that this Cat 745C with a fuel tank on its back could do the trick. I head out, find my logging truck, refuel, pull it out of the mud, and continue my pilgrimage. Now, being aware of my tank size, I use every chance to fill up and begin to plot my way to Stevenson's house, which is located on a hill over the river. I slowly make my way up, with small hiccups here and there, and just as I go through my last drops of fuel, I make the first delivery. But again, it's fuel time. I have a nearby scout, the YAR 83, which has a fuel rack and could be a nice and quick solution. So I fuel up the rack, nimbly make my way up to the mountain, and refuel the Azov. For the next destination, it seems wiser to go for the second logging station to save some miles and change up the route. So I make my way to the station, not skipping any chance to refuel. After overestimating my navigation skills, I take a wrong turn, and doing a small detour, I get to the log station, pack my logs, and start my trip to Bill's house. Unfortunately, I get careless while going down a hill and end up sideways with my cargo unpacked. Don't ask how a full load can be made with just 3 logs. that's just how it goes in the Snowrunner universe. But for now, I'm left on my side and it's time for a real rescue mission. Also, a good moment to take a pause. Definitely not a rage quit. I grab the handy dandy nearby Azov 73210 and winch my logging truck upwards. Unfortunately, one of the logs fell out. Now, I can't pack my cargo and finish the delivery. I have two options. I could kit out a truck with a logging crane, go to the crash site, load the missing log and carry on. But as this is not a limited resource and it's a shorter way back up to the logging station, I just delete the old cargo and do the drive of shame to grab a new load. This time, by taking a safer route, I arrive at Bill's house to deliver his toothpicks for the next century or so. The remaining deliveries are located in the other map of Yukon region, Big Salmon Peak. As I have never been there, it would be wise to first scout out the best routes to my destinations. So I jump into my trusty Tatarin, which by the way is a literal tank, and set out on my way. The first thing I discover on Big Salmon Peak is a garage. That will be very useful going forward. Next, I go to 3 scouting towers to quickly reveal larger portions of the area. In the process, I also find and accept a few tasks. There is also a logging station in this map, so I find the best route to it, get a bit frustrated about not being able to go through the mountain, and for now, leave my scout where it is. I go back to the flooded foothills, start up my logging truck, refuel it at the convenient nearby truck from an older mission, and set out to Big Salmon Peak. Soon enough, I reach the garage, where at the trailer station I buy a fuel tank to quickly refuel my trucks when driving by. The roads on this map seem to be in better condition, which is a nice change of pace. I pick up the double medium logs and make a short trip along the old railroad to Frank's house, and deliver his long-awaited cargo right to his doorstep. That just leaves the hunter's cabin. Unfortunately, they need only 1 load of medium logs, so I leave the trailer at the log station so I can pick it up later if needed, and head out to the cabin. I'm there quickly enough and totally intentionally finish the contract with extra style points delivering the cargo mid-fall. I know that was a lot, but in my opinion also necessary to see that these are definitely different experiences. And let's have a look at what exactly are the elements that build these experiences. I'll start with a thing that initially made me stick with Snowrunner. In its core, EDS2 is a sandbox. There is a certain starting point and meta progression in the form of purchasing more garages and hiring drivers, but there is no clearly defined endpoint. The game provides you with tools, environments and systems that are open-ended. That's what's beautiful about this game, and it also made me realize that I don't really enjoy make your own fun type of games. My brain needs a clear checkbox that I can mark and move on, and Snowrunner provides just this. I can finish Snowrunner. Well, to be more precise, I can complete a region for 100%. There are a finite amount of missions, and with enough time, I can finish all of them, and the game lets me know precisely how far I am from this point. Of course, that may limit the potential playtime compared to a sandbox, but at the time of writing, there are more than 1,000 combined tasks, contests and contracts between the base game and the DLCs. Based on my current pace, that will be around 1,500 hours of playtime, which is more than enough for me currently. And that is not even tapping into the hard mode. Another important detail regarding missions is the level of non-linearity and freedom on how I can approach missions in each game. In ETS2, after you accept a job, you are basically locked within the confines of this single delivery. You have to finish the job within a specified time frame in order not to lose any rewards. This means that you will have to take more or less the optimal route, and between accepting a contract and delivering the cargo, there is not much else you will be doing along the way, despite sleeping, refueling, and going on the occasional toll road or ferry. The gameplay loop is therefore more uniform, more predictable. Snowrunner, however, takes a different approach and provides the player a larger degree of freedom. How you get the cargo where needed, in what order you finish the missions, the maps, the regions, is totally up to yourself, as long as the cargo is packed before delivery. There are no time constraints or schedules. Almost all the missions are open as soon as you set a tire on the ground. You choose your routes based on your trucks and playstyle. Want to deliver your cargo with a single flatbed truck, making multiple safer trips? Go ahead. Feeling a bit adventurous to try some light, reasonable overloading? Why not? Want to overload your truck to look like the Tower of Babel? Be my guest. You like trailers, so you wanna hook up your trailer with an extra trailer? We got you covered. I can't find better words for this than user Styobi from Snowrunner subreddit has said it. You're free to try whatever cockamamie scheme you can come up with. There's no wrong way, only easier and harder. And with all this freedom comes agency. Your choices matter, your strategies matter, and they can evolve, become more effective by your own trial and error. Experience counts, and it's hard won, but never impossible. In my limited experience, I've come to conclude that the skill ceiling for ETS2 is generally not very high. Well, maybe besides the manual parking, which is ironically one of the parts I enjoy the most. And that works, because at its core, it's not a game about skill. And this is one of the reasons why so many people can enjoy it, and why it's so popular with such a broad audience. But with Snowrunner, as you spend more time with the game, you start to notice a sense of individual development, a sense of mastery. You begin to think differently about the ever-changing scenarios. You begin to see patterns in the environment. You spot obvious traps or shortcuts that would seem impossible when you just started out. You start to think outside the box due to the challenges that emerge upon you. And this is where, again, I refer to user Styobi, this time mentioning emergent gameplay in his comment. Every single time you roll over and send out a rescue truck, that's a bespoke mission, just for you, that was never designed by a developer and more likely than not will be unique to you and you alone. That is something clearly evident also in my logging mission case study. Had I chosen a different truck or different routes, or the trucks and trailers I already had lying around were not there, I would have a whole different experience, which would be actually quite difficult to recreate, even by trying. And that is something I quite cherish in this game. There are no scripted events or cutscenes where the most intense or frustrating moments have been predetermined by the developer. Here, these are your actions that create consequences and thus your experiences. The emergent gameplay also ties well to the surprise aspect of gaming. Schell, in his book, The Art of Game Design, A Book of Lenses, defines fun as pleasure with surprises. As simple as this definition might seem, it's starting to grow on me quite substantially. And also, it's hard to find examples where the definition is not true. And, in the case of comparing ETS2 to Snowrunner, the latter provides objectively more surprises along the gameplay loop, thus rendering it more fun, at least for my brain. Of course, one should not overlook the pleasure part in pleasure with surprises. I enjoy the somewhat slow grind, and because of this, the surprises, although maybe not always fun when they occur, contribute to the total amount of fun generated by the whole experience. I also wanted to add that I did not cherry-pick a mission or fail intentionally for content or showcase purposes. I just jumped in the game and started trucking. And when it comes to trucking, you can't truck in trucking games without the trucks. There are 23 different truck models from 7 manufacturers in ETS2. The differences between the trucks can be categorized in 2 parts: aesthetics and performance. I know this is very important for many, but I have never really cared too much about aesthetic customization in games in general, so that leaves only the performance part for me. Due to the world design, where the main goal is efficiently delivering cargo on well-maintained roads, the trucks differ mainly on raw power output and how heavy a load can you transport. You can use more or less any truck as your definitive hauler, have it upgraded, and it will be able to carry most that you throw at it. Your gameplay experience won't differ too much by choosing one truck over another, besides, for example, the speed of acceleration or the design of your cabin. In the raw number of trailers, ETS2 is ahead of Snowrunner. There are in total 11 types of trailers, 22 ownable standard trailers plus 41 DLC trailers and 12 non-ownable ones. And although this is around 3 times the amount of trailers that Snowrunner has, the variety in gameplay that these trailers provide is limited due to the nature of ETS setting. These trailers are used for one purpose only, to deliver a certain type of cargo. While in Snowrunner, trailers can serve in multiple ways, not only to deliver cargo, but also to repair, refuel, and explore. Snowrunner offers a choice of 41 trucks in the base game and a total of 92 trucks including all the DLCs. The trucks are categorized in 5 distinct classes: Scout, Heavy, Heavy Duty, Highway, and Off-Road. Each class has its own characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses. Each truck also offers a set of upgrades that are not always available to purchase from the get-go, but have to be collected around the map. Also in the base game, some trucks are player level restricted, so you have to start without the best performing trucks and slowly make your way up to the more powerful machines and equipment. The upgrades are also not always straightforward. The best example could be tire selection. You might assume that the more expensive the tire, or if it's lower down the list, the better. But actually, you have to think about the conditions you plan to be driving and choose your tires accordingly. A chain tire is a must-have on icy tarmac hills, but won't be your best choice in muddy forests. Choosing the right truck for the job is often a very crucial decision, and it will have an impact on how you approach different scenarios. A 30-ton heavy truck, the size of a small family house, will drive differently than a nimble 10-ton off-road truck. But the game does not restrict your possibilities. Almost no cargo is tied to a specific truck or trailer. Most of the trucks can be kitted out to be able to at least theoretically carry any type of load by utilizing the 20 or so different trailers and semi-trailers. As time goes by, you try different trucks, and based on the scenarios you find yourself in, it's not uncommon to develop stronger feelings for certain trucks that earn your trust. The player is also encouraged to use multiple trucks at the same time. On a typical playthrough, I'll have a solid number of trucks scattered around, sitting where I left them, waiting to become useful again. But regarding the trucks, there is also a topic that I'm on the fence about. See, you can purchase a few trucks as separate DLCs, and some of these DLC trucks, like the ZIKZ612H or the Mastodon, are very capable trucks, to say the least, and technically are available to players from the very get-go, and cannot be obtained any other way. Of course, as this is not a competitive, mainly single-player game, it's okay to provide players with options, but paying real money to get objectively better equipment that's accessible only like this generates at least some mixed feelings for me. Having this kind of truck from the very beginning of your playthrough will notably affect another aspect which is important to compare between these games: the quite different levels of difficulty. One of the reasons why I think ETS2 is much more popular is because there is basically no learning curve involved. You take a quick job, get assigned a truck, and are on your way. You pick up a few important details here and there, but overall, you're in for a relaxing, almost meditative experience, which can be easily picked up by the casual, everyday gamer. Well, Snowrunner also is a kind of meditation with some heavy metal elements. I must admit that the game has a rather poor tutorial, which provides little guidance on how to approach the game. This, combined with a pretty rough start, where you don't have the best trucks or upgrades, can make the first mud puddles also to be the last ones for a lot of players. The freedom on how you can approach the game also becomes a steep learning curve, which inevitably will include countless times of getting stuck in mud, on rocks, or in between random trees. Multiple tipped over trucks and stupid mistakes will be your best teachers. Even when you think you understand some of the main mechanics, turns out people are making huge spreadsheets with intricate details of trucks, engines, gearboxes and tires, which are not clearly visible in the game's UI. And if this is not enough for the truly hardened truckers, there is also a hard mode, where it costs money to recover, refuel and repair trucks, as well as auto-loading cargo. The map does not reveal any points of interest before you find them yourself, and you can sell vehicles and upgrades for only half the price you purchased them. You can't sell any of the trailers, you buy the fuel carriers empty, and a few other details that make your trucker life more challenging and can actually result in having to restart a playthrough due to not being able to progress if you end up stranded with no money to recover and no trucks to be able to help. I understand how this can be disencouraging for someone just starting out, but if you learn to enjoy the slow burning process, Snowrunner offers incredible levels of delayed gratification. Finishing a complex project that went sideways, took multiple trucks, logistics exercises and rescue missions, produces a feeling that is hard to find in the modern gaming landscape. In this case, it's even a bit like the Dark Souls of Truck Sim, but instead of mastering the boss's moveset, you have to memorize the best routes or tricky spots to avoid on each map. And these skills are obtainable only through trial and error, by playing the game and sometimes also failing. But in contrast to Dark Souls, the gameplay loop is still simple enough to be able to jump in for a quick session without having to master frame-perfect movement or follow a convoluted story. In each session, I move towards finishing the map for 100%, no matter how small an amount that may be, and that's what I like. That's why I play video games. A time, place where I can wind down from the daily struggles, empty my mind, and achieve clearly defined, simple to understand, but sometimes difficult to finish goals. And that is exactly how I play Snowrunner. I go through the regions in orderly fashion, advancing to the next only after 100%ing the previous, while also keeping a record on how much time it took me to finish each region, and sharing that with the community. I don't play the most efficient way, or don't try to do things as fast as possible, but slowly and methodically chip away, piece by piece, occasionally trying some wacky overloading or logging with a sideboard trailer just because the heck of it. Analyzing Snowrunner also made me realize what I like and dislike in other games. Some of the games I have spent the most hours in provide elements of clear closure, sense of completion, and mastery that is validated by the game design. Also, I understand more why I enjoy achievement hunting content and have done some light hunts myself, while not letting it grow into chore-like gaming. As soon as I notice that I am not having fun, I switch something up and maybe revisit the title later if I feel so. And in my opinion, that's why games should be played, to have fun and enjoy the experience. You should play what you want and how you want it. While preparing the script, I revisited Euro Truck Simulator 2 after a few years of not touching it, and I really enjoyed it. Will I pour hundreds of hours into this game? Most likely not, but at this moment I am enjoying it, and I will keep playing it until I don't enjoy it anymore. So, going back to Snowrunner, to conclude all this and wrap it up in one sentence. I think that Snowrunner is a better game because it provides a finite level progression, more player freedom on finishing the levels while using a larger variety of vehicles, and providing a higher sense of mastery due to higher difficulty. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this. Of course, there are many other things that are bad about Snowrunner or good about EDS2, but I'll leave that for another time maybe. In the end, I really hope that this video motivates at least one person to try out Snowrunner and experience the roller coaster of emotions that this simple game can provide. And if you made it this far in the video, I truly thank you for your time. If you enjoyed the video, I would greatly appreciate if you left a like or a dislike if you didn't enjoy it. And leave a comment if there are things you like or dislike about any of these games, or if you would like to see more content in similar fashion. Stay safe, and bye for now.